This video is brought to you by the staff of the Roberts Environmental Center at Claremont McKenna College as part of a program to increase voter understanding of key ballot measures in the upcoming November elections. The Roberts Environmental Center is a research institute that works to identify, publicize, and encourage practices that achieve social and economic goals through sustainable means. My name is Apurva Rangan, and I'm a junior at Claremont McKenna College.
My name is Tim Storr, and I'm a senior at CMC. As many of you may know, this November, Alaska voters will decide whether to pass Ballot Measure 4 on the general election ballot. If passed, this ballot measure would grant Alaskan officials the authority to veto any mining projects in the Bristol Bay area that constitute danger to the fishery. This video is aimed to help voters understand the significance of this ballot measure and what may come if it passes.
Before we discuss the proposition in more detail, a little history must be noted. This bill is not entirely new. Since the creation of the Bristol Bay Fisheries Reserve in 1972, any oil or gas extraction plans must be cleared by government officials in addition to meeting other permits and regulations required by the law. In essence, this ballot measure just expands that provision to also include mining activities. While the bill does not specifically mention the Pebble Mine at any point, it addresses projects exactly like the Pebble Mine.
The issue of mining in Bristol Bay has received a significant amount of press, and for good reason. According to the EPA, about 14,000 jobs are tied to the ecological resources in Bristol Bay, mainly to the salmon fishery. Additionally, the area holds importance to 25 federally recognized tribal governments and holds value to recreators and tourists. Any project that poses threats to such valuable resources should receive scrutiny. The key question is, how great of a threat do mining projects really pose to the ecological resources of the bay? And how do these consequences measure up to the economic benefits of creating a large-scale mining project?
Unfortunately, there are no figures given as to the exact number or percentage of salmon lost due to large-scale mining projects, such as the Pebble Mine. This lack of concrete estimates is due to extreme complexities in calculating such a number. The salmon numbers vary yearly and by location, both in terms of raw number and percentage. Additionally, it is very difficult to estimate the losses from mining projects that don't involve habitat destruction but do involve pollution. That said, it is undeniable that large-scale mining projects will affect the salmon population. Even the arguments put forth by the Alaska Mining Association, the main proponents of vetoing this ballot measure, won't argue otherwise. Let's use the Pebble Mining project as an example. As shown in the diagram here, about 150 kilometers of streams will be eliminated by mining projects, about 30 of which are salmon spawning grounds. In addition to this habitat loss, there are an array of chemicals that will be released from mining projects. In some cases, there is already evidence that these are harmful to salmon, and in other cases, the effects are unknown. In all cases, the EPA projections and those of other sources are likely to be conservative estimates, considering that they are assuming a best-case scenario where the mines never break down. In reality, breakdowns are a likely risk at some point in the lifetime of the mine, and they would greatly increase risks to local fish populations.
Of course, there are also benefits to a large-scale mining project. One independent study shows Alaska's annual GDP increasing by about $400 million during the production years of the Pebble Mine and over $1 billion in later years. The project would also provide jobs. According to the same study, it would provide between 11,000 and 14,000 of them. If true, this would outweigh the total job losses from the ecological industries even if 100% of them were lost, which is not likely. However, there are two caveats to these figures. First, only about 1,000 to 2,000 of these mining jobs would go to Alaska natives. Second, the mining project will only exist for about 75 years, but the salmon fishery could provide resources for much longer.
It is important to note that Ballot Measure 4 isn't the only thing stopping mining projects in Bristol Bay. The EPA has been under immense pressure to invoke the Clean Water Act and simply veto the Pebble Mine. Public comment to the EPA is now closed, and it's currently in Step 3 of its decision process, as shown on this chart. It has promised a final ruling sometime before February 4th. Even if both these fronts fail, it can take years for a massive mining project to actually move from paper to reality because of all of the pre-existing laws and regulations. For those interested in this proposition, stay tuned for an EPA ruling on this issue and be sure to go out and vote.